All right, everyone. Thank you for your patience today. Hopefully, you guys are joining us here and ready to jump in. I am just trying to get my chat pulled up again here. Thank you guys all for your patience. All right, here we are. All right, I know we were a little bit delayed today. We got a little IT technical difficulties today, but welcome in, everyone. As you can see, we've got some fun things that we're going to be working on today. We're going to change it up just a little bit. I've got one of our sets of press-on nails that I'm going to be applying kind of as a set. Well, as a partial set. We'll call it a partial set. But I have all of the nails laid out in front of me. I'm going to show you guys really quickly here before I actually get into that. So when you get the boxes of our press-on nails, I'm going to show you what you get in each box, and then we'll go ahead and do the application. So in the box, you get the top section here. If we take this little top section off, you're going to have a couple of different sizes of the tips. You're going to have a little file. You're going to also have a little cuticle pusher in there. And then in the bottom section, you're going to also have the rest of the tips. So you get, I think it's 32 different nails in each of these boxes, all different sizes. So you're going to have plenty to put those on as a full set. So you're going to have all kinds of different sizes. You've also got the alcohol pad to cleanse the natural nail. You've got the little sticky tabs if you're actually going to be using these as press-ons, or you also have the little tube of glue if you want to glue those on for a little bit longer wear. But today what we're going to be using is our tip and jewel adhesive. So if you're wanting to wear these for an extended period of time, you can use the tip and jewel adhesive. So you've got lots of different choices when you're working with the full cover press-on tips. But I'm going to put these away. I just wanted to show you what all comes in the kit. And then I'm going to show you the ones that we're actually using today. And the ones we're using are the French design. So let me set these off to the side. So this one is, these are called, if you guys can see that, Pretty in French. So that is the style that we're going to be working with today. And I've already taken the little plastic baggie out and I've organized mine by size. I like to work with them so I know exactly what size is what. They don't come in, let me show you guys our box of full cover tips. They don't come in the big boxes like this. So where they're all sectioned out and sorted out. Let me show you that. So in these tips, they're all sectioned out and sorted out by size. But with the small packs, the individual packs, they come in that little baggie. So I just take a double-sided tape and I stick that down onto my tile here, and then I stick down all of those different sizes. So again, that way when I'm working, I know that these are my larger sizes all the way down to my smallest sizes down at the end. So for me, it's easier to have them organized. But if you guys prefer to just work with them in the little baggies, like I was just showing you earlier, if you just want to, pour these out into your hand and hold them in your hand, however you want to work, that's up to you. For me, I like to be organized because that way things kind of flow a little bit easier for me. So today we're going to be doing a French design, but I also want to show you a couple other French looks or ombre looks that we have. So if you prefer, I don't know, I guess I put those in upside down. If you prefer more of an ombre look rather than the smile line, I'm trying to get this one out of here. We have this one. This one is called Marshmellow Melt, which is, you guys can see those there. That's a really pretty ombre look as well. And these are, I would say, a short, medium ombre, a little bit more rounded at the end. Whereas, whoops, did I lose? I lost one of my nails here. There we go. Whereas the ones that we're going to be working with today are actually that really crisp French. So we've got that ombre. We also have a short square ombre. So you can see those, I guess, maybe more, I would say maybe a short tapered square. So we've got those really pretty ombre. I'm trying to show you guys this so the light doesn't reflect on there. But really some pretty options for wedding season. And that's what we're going to be doing today, our wedding nails. I forgot to tell you guys which one this one was. This is Creme De La Creme. I think I'm saying that right. Creme De La Creme. So Creme De La Creme, Marshmellow Melt, and then the ones that we're going to be using today are Pretty in French. So let's get started on our beautiful wedding nails here. Sorry, guys. I'm going to set my nails off to the side, and we're going to go ahead and get started prepping our nails. Now you can see I've put in a few different sizes on our trainer hand today so that you can see really how to do an actual set. And I'm only doing 4 nails here, but kind of a set today. So we're going to start just like we would for any other set by adjusting our camera here, first of all, so I can stop knocking into that. But we're going to always start by pushing back our cuticles. Now you can use either our magic wand, which is what I usually show you guys how to push back cuticles. You can use that to push back the cuticles. Otherwise, one of our new products, one of our new tools that I absolutely love, I love showing you guys this because it's probably one of my favorites of the new product launch that we did. This is our glass cuticle pusher. And you can see on one end, it's got the slanted edge, and that's going to work really well for pushing back the cuticles. We've also got that pointed edge, so that's going to work for cleaning up right down along your sidewalls here. So we're going to start by just pushing back the cuticles. And when I work, I tend to work from that pinky nail in. So I'll work from the pinky, the ring, middle finger, and then that pointer, pushing back the cuticles. Now you guys, on our trainer hand, I don't generally work on the thumb because it's a little bit awkward in that motion. But if you are doing a full set, make sure that you're pushing the cuticles back on those thumbs as well. So going through, pushing back the cuticles, getting those really nice and cleaned up. And then after that is when I'm actually going to size out my tips. Now I'm going to grab my tile here. And we've got our sizes all laid out there, all of the different sizes on there. And you guys, actually, I forgot to put one more piece of our sticky tape on here. So let me see if I can get this on here real quick. I'm going to set out one more piece of, this is just double-sided tape, you guys. It's not anything fancy, but again, it helps me to stay organized when I'm working on full cover tips or really just tips in general. And let me just peel this off here. There we go. So this way, as I size out the tips, I can set down the nails that I'm going to use on this little tab down here. So let's start by sizing out, and we'll start with our smallest nail. And this is why I like to have them kind of laid out in order, so that way I know which direction I'm going to work with. Somebody says, what happened to the pinky nail? You guys, I'm showing you guys what you can work with on an actual real sized nail. A lot of times, okay, I have a little bit of a larger pinky, but a lot of times people have those really teeny tiny little nails. So nothing happened to this. I'm just showing you some different sizes and different options. So for a small nail like this, I'm going to start with one of my smaller tips, and I'm going to just size this out really quick. They're so little and so cute, you guys, especially for wedding nails. A lot of times those brides don't want anything really long, wild, and crazy. A lot of times they want just a classic look, and that's what we're going to get with this style of tip. So you can see with this tip, I'm going to size that to make sure that it fits pretty well into the C-curve of the nail. So what I mean by the C-curve is if we look down the barrel of the nail, you guys disregard our little mechanical insides there. We're just looking at the nail here. So we're going to look at the C-curve, the curve of the nail through here. We want to make sure that that C-curve is going to match the C-curve of the tip that we're putting on. And this one does look like it is going to sit right on there, nice and flush down. I don't have to use a lot of pressure to set this down. I don't want to be using a lot of pressure. If you're using too much pressure and it actually flares out that tip, or it kind of makes it look wider, that's going to be way too small on that nail. But this one I think is going to look just fine on there. And actually, I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but when I did put some pressure onto that and I bent the tip, it got a little bit of a shadow right in here. Again, I don't know if you guys can see that, just barely right through there. So you want to make sure that you're not having to put a lot of pressure. You don't want to be bending these tips. So I'm actually going to grab one other size here. So we've got a nice, pretty, perfect nail. So again, you want to make sure that you're not having to put a lot of pressure on there. You want that nail to go from sidewall to sidewall, but just ever so slightly hanging off the edges. You don't want to size it so small. You don't want to go to that really tiny, tiny size where it's going to maybe be a little short on the edge, okay? And I know you guys, it's kind of tricky to be showing you this with these teeny tiny little nails and holding these teeny tiny little nails on there, but you'll be all right. You'll be able to do that. But again, using that really teeny tiny one is going to be a little bit too small. So I'm going to go just this size larger so that it's going to just set right down on there. And that's the one that I'm going to use for my pinky nail. So I'm going to stick that down onto my little double-sided tape that I've got down here. And we'll go on to our next nail. So let's check. So I kind of just eyeball it. So as I'm looking, I just eyeball and kind of see what size is going to fit. Now, I want to show you guys one other thing here real quick. In the box of tips, we do have some of the more common sizes in that top section. So I'm actually going to grab that top section, and I think that's probably going to be the sizes that I'm going to use here. So let's grab, and actually I'm going to just kind of check here. I think that one actually looks about right here. So let me grab that one. Again, size that out. That one may look just a tiny little bit, maybe on the large side, but I'm going to hang on to that one for just a second. Let's go one size smaller and see if that one fits any better. Let's come in so you guys can see. So this one, I feel like, actually, this one does feel a little bit better. So I think I'm going to go with a little bit smaller size. I still don't really have to use a lot of pressure. I'm not pressing that down and trying to squish that down on there. So I think that's the size that I'm going to use for my second nail here. We'll put that one back there. And let's take a look at this one. I think these two nails are the same size. And you guys, when you're sizing out nails, a lot of times the where are we at here? The ring finger and the pointer, those two nails tend to be about the same size. The middle nail tends to be maybe one size bigger than that. So kind of keep that in mind as you're sizing out the tips. These two here tend to be about the same size and then maybe one size bigger on the middle. So just a little trick that may help you to size out your tips a little bit faster. Okay, so that one looks good. Looks like it's fitting that C curve. Looks like it's not pressing down too much. Sidewall to sidewall, we're good. And then let's go, we're gonna pretend that this is our thumbnail. This is our larger nail. Or maybe it's just our pointer nail here. But let's check this one. So this one, all right, that one's a little bit on the big side. Let's go down a size here. We'll check this one. This one, I think, that one looks about right. So I think we're good with that. Just in case, so I'm going to set that one right here, but just in case, I'm going to check one of the sizes from those common sizes right up in here, and we'll see if that's going to fit even better. Nope, I feel like that one might be just a little bit too narrow. See how as I press that down, it has more of a tendency to want to pop back up. So I think that one's going to be a little bit too narrow. But again, you guys, you have all of these different sizes so that you can find ones that are really going to fit perfectly onto the nails, okay? Now, once we have those sized out, I'm not sure where that one went, but maybe right there. Once we have them sized out, I'm actually going to set these off to the side here, but I like to customize them just a little bit. So when I'm putting my full cover tips on, these ones are pre-designed, so I don't want to be filing over the surface of these. I don't want to be filing off any of the color, but sometimes you'll notice, let me see if I can find one here. Sometimes you'll notice that they may have that little tag at the end here, so you may want to file that off if you need to, or you might need to customize around that cuticle area. So you want to make sure that it's actually going to fit up into that cuticle area. On these tips, to me, they look a little bit more kind of squared off on those corners. So I want to make sure that this is going to fit right up into my client's cuticle area. So I'm going to take my file. I'm actually going to set my tips off to the side here. And I am going to grab, you can use like a 180 grit file or a 150 grit file. All of those will work just fine. But I'm just going to use, and this is our 180 file buffer combo. So it's got a file on one side and a buffer on the other. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to round these out. Now, if you are customizing, be very careful that you're only filing underneath the nail. So you're filing underneath. You're not filing over the surface because, again, you don't want to be filing off that color, okay? So just filing underneath, rounding out that cuticle area a little bit, making sure that this is going to fit right up into our client's cuticle area. Or if you're doing these on yourself, right up into your own cuticle area. So again, just a little bit around that edge. And we're going to dust that off. And then the reason that I have my file buffer is because sometimes after filing, you get a little bit of a frayed edge. So I just use my buffer side and just kind of pull straight up around that edge. I'm going to round this out just a little bit more here to get rid of that little bit of frayed edge. So this way, everything is going to sit nice and flush down onto that natural nail. Now, you guys, I know that I've been showing you a lot of the full cover tips, and let me show you guys one of those really quickly here. The full cover tips are just a little bit thicker than these press-on tips. Oops, there's still a little bit of a frayed edge. So with the full cover tips, I do tend to like to either pre-blend. Let me grab one here, you guys, really quick. I either like to pre-blend the well of that, or I'll actually go through and once this is adhered, I will file around that cuticle area to taper that down. But when we're working with our press-on nails, these are already very, very thin, so I don't have to go through and pre-blend, or I'm also not going to be filing anything once this is on the nail. So I want to make sure that everything is going to sit nice and flush right up to that cuticle area, and everything is going to be the perfect shape all the way around. So I do want to make sure that I customize these properly so that they are going to fit really nice up into that cuticle area. Again, I'm not going to be doing any filing on these once they're actually on the nail. So make sure that everything is in the shape that you want it so that you don't have to do anything once the nail is on. Okay. All right, one more time, just gonna take care of that little bit of a frayed edge. And I think we are good. Now, there is one last little edge right there. There is a little bit of a catch right on the edge here. That I will file off once it's on the nail because it's a little bit trickier to try to get into that free edge. So that I will file once it's on there. But for now, I'm just going to set my tip back off to the side here. That one is already customized. I'm going to grab my next couple of nails here. We'll customize these. Make sure that those are going to fit right up into that cuticle area. I think this one's pretty good, but maybe just a little bit off that edge. Maybe round it out just a little bit. Now you guys notice that when I started this, I only pushed back the cuticles on the natural nails here. I didn't go through and do the rest of my prep. The reason for that is you're seeing that as I'm doing a little bit of filing here, I am getting a little bit of dust on the nails. So I want to make sure that I'm not getting that dust on the nails once they're prepped. So I do wait until I've filed and I've done all of my customizing, my sizing out, my customizing on my tips here. Then I will go back through and I will do all of the rest of my prep. So just making sure everything is going to fit properly. We'll check our next nail. That one, same kind of thing, you guys. And you'll start to notice that on a set, your cuticles are going to look fairly similar from one nail to the next. So you're probably going to have to do about the same amount of customizing on each nail. So don't worry though if you do have to customize, it's pretty normal. Because not everybody's nails are the same shape and same size, and not every press-on nail is going to fit absolutely perfectly. So you do want to customize them a little bit wherever you need to, just to make sure that they are looking as flush down to that natural nail as you can get them, and as clean around the edges as you can get them. Especially for those bridal nails, because with those, you guys know that those brides are going to have their nails photographed with that ring on. So you want to make sure that these are looking as flush and clean as possible. Okay, last one here, and then we will go ahead and do the rest of our prep. So this one, that one actually, I think that one fits pretty nicely right up in there as it is. So that one I don't think I'm going to need to do, maybe just a little bit. We'll clean up that edge just a little bit. All right. Are you guys with me? Are you enjoying our lesson so far today? Make sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to like the channel here if you're enjoying our lesson. And make sure to put a little thumbs up or something in the chat so that I know you're enjoying our full cover press-on demo today. I love to see that you guys are enjoying what we're learning here today. Okay, so we've got all of our nails ready to go. I'm actually going to set those off to the side. So that way, as I'm doing my prep, I'm not going to get any filing dust on those nails. So we're going to go through, we're going to finish up the rest of the prep. We've already gone through and pushed back the cuticles. So now I'm going to remove the shine. And I'm going to grab a brand new sanding band here. Always make sure to change out your sanding band. Always grab a brand new one. Make sure you're using a clean, sanitary, new one. Oh my gosh, it looks like somebody's watching from India. That is absolutely amazing. I love seeing where you guys are all watching from. Let me know. Let me know in the chat where you're watching from, because the internet is an amazing thing, you guys. If we can all come here together and we can learn, I can teach you, I can give you information that's going to help you in your nail career, or if you're an enthusiast. I love to be able to do that wherever you are. So, oh my gosh, I love it. Mexico, Tennessee, Louisiana, Ohio. You guys, Oregon coast. I was just out on the Oregon coast recently. So you guys, thank you from wherever you're joining us from. Thank you for being here. So when I'm prepping the nails, all I'm doing is just gently removing the shine and creating a little bit of texture. And I'm using my medium sanding band, and my E-file is at about 5,000 RPMs, working right up in that cuticle area, all the way through the free edge, just enough to lightly remove that shine and break up those surface oils so that we've got a nice surface to apply our tips to. All right, and that's really as quick and easy as it is. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, doesn't have to take a lot of effort, just a quick and easy process here. All right, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to dust off the nails. And you guys notice that as I work, I usually do start from that pinky and I work in. And when we do any polishing, that's really the reason that I do work from the pinky in, because when I polish, I tend to, if I start at the pointer here and I work this way, I tend to bump into this nail here. So I get into the habit of just starting at that pinky, working all the way in towards the thumb, and that's my routine. Whatever routine works good for you guys though, stick with that routine. But I think it's important to actually have a routine so that you really know what is going to happen next. And if you guys have been with me for a while here on our YouTube lives, you know that the next thing I always use is swipe. Swipe is what we're going to use to cleanse these nails and get those last little bits of dust off of the nail. It's also going to help to remove any excess oils that might still be on that nail surface. So just a little bit of that swipe, just enough to cleanse. All right, let's see. Somebody says the brush isn't effective at removing dust, plus it's gross. So you notice that as I did this, I did start by just dusting off the nails. I got all of that dust off, and then I used my swipe to really cleanse that. And the combination of dusting first and then cleansing, that's going to give you that really nice clean surface. And that's going to take care of all of that dust and germs and bacteria and all of that kind of stuff. So keep in mind also that the brushes, these are something that you should be sanitizing and disinfecting. So that's something that you would only be using on one client. So that is a clean, proper tool that you're going to be using. So make sure that you are following all of your sanitation and disinfection. And then next thing we're going to use in our system is Protein Bond. Protein Bond is what's really going to help to adhere the tips. It's going to give our nails a nice tacky surface, And just like the little sticky, double-sided sticky tape that I was using to sort out my tips, that's how Protein Bond works. So it's going to stick down to the nail, but then it's also going to leave that sticky surface for our product to grab onto. So make sure that you're going through doing a nice even coat of the Protein Bond, and I start in the center of the nail and then work back towards my cuticle area. This way, I'm not going to be flooding that product onto the nail or onto the cuticle area. It's going to stay on the nail, and I'm not going to have to worry about this getting onto the skin. You guys, whatever product you're using, whether it's enhancements, whether it's glues, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're keeping that product on the nail and not coming in contact with the skin. If repeatedly you come in contact with that skin, that can lead to contact dermatitis and allergic reactions and things like that. So you want to make sure that you're working safely and, again, keeping product off the skin. Now, I am going through and I'm doing a second coat of our Protein Bond. I'm telling you guys, one coat is probably going to work pretty well, but I always like to do 2 coats just to make sure that I've got great coverage, I've got great adhesion, and I'm going to have really good wear with my, my tips. All right, so we've got our Protein Bond on there. We've got our tips all sized out. We're going to be using our Tip and Jewel Adhesive Gel. So this is a gel. It does need to cure in our UV LED light. You can see that is a very, very thick gel. Now, another thing that I'm going to grab here is our Touch Cure light. So this little light here, this is what I'm going to use to freeze our gel into place. So you'll be able to see that here in just a second. But I always like to have that situated and ready to go so that I'm not trying to put the tip on and then trying to find my other light and all my other things here. So we've got our nails. And again, these are the ones that I've sized out and customized. So I'm going to grab my spatula here, and I'm working with our brush and spatula. So this is a dual-ended tool. So it's got cover on both ends here. So on one end, it's got that brush. On the other end, it's got a spatula. The spatula is what we're going to use for the most part, but then the brush is nice to have just in case. All right, we're going to scoop out a tiny little bit. So with our nails here, we've got some teeny tiny little nails that we're going to be using. Oh, you guys, I forgot one other thing. Whoops, actually a couple of things that I want to show you here. So when you're working with the press-on nails, I want to show you this really quick here. On the back, notice that they don't look smooth and shiny like that top surface does. That's because these are actually I don't want to say etched, but they have a little texture to them. So with these, you can either leave them as they are. If you feel like you need a little bit more grip, you could go through with your electric file. You could remove that shiny or that textured surface and create more of a textured surface, or you can use a coat of your Protein Bond in that well. And that's usually what I like to do. Now, depending on how long you're wanting to keep these nails on, or how long the bride is wanting to keep these nails on, you may not need this extra little bit of grip in the well, but if you do, go ahead and apply a coat of that Protein Bond in the well. So again, I'm going to go through all of these nails, apply that Protein Bond, but the Tip and Jewel adhesive really does adhere well to that texture that's in these tips. So if your bride is maybe just keeping these on for the day of the wedding and she wants to take them off, or maybe even the weekend of the wedding, I would say skip the Protein Bond, skip using the e-file to remove that shine, because you just wouldn't need it at that point, okay? But options here for you guys, however long you want to keep those nails on. If you want to keep them on longer, use that Protein Bond. Otherwise, you can skip it. All right, you guys, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button before I do our nails here. Continue to get all of our free education. Okay, one other thing I want to show you before I actually get the gel in there. I want to show you something, you guys. Today we're using our gel to adhere these. Now, if you're using any of our more solid color nails, then I would recommend using either the brush on glue, the glue that comes in the package, or you can use the little tabs that come in there. But if you're working with the tips that are a little bit darker colored like these, These ones, let me show you this really quick. These ones, the light is not actually going to cure all the way through. So it's not going to cure our gel that we're using to adhere these. So the tips that we're using today, these are, you can actually see through them. So you can see that the light is going to get through those. So actually, let me show you this. Let me see if I can take my Touch Cure light out here. So my light is turned on. Whoops, it is turned on. So you can actually see that the light is going to penetrate through there. So it is going to cure our gel with no issues. If I were to take one of the more solid colored tips and show you guys that, whoops, that light doesn't get through there enough to where it's actually going to fully cure that gel. So if you are wanting to cure these and use gel, you can only use it with a certain few of the tips. So I hope that makes sense, you guys. Let me know in the chat. Does that make sense? Does that make sense that with some of the tips, the more sheer ones like we're using today, those you can use and cure them. You can adhere them with a gel, whereas some of the more solid colors like these, you would want to stick to using the adhesive or the tabs. So let me know. I hope that made sense. All right, sounds like it makes sense. Okay, good. You guys, if you do have questions, you can definitely pop those into the chat there. I try to keep an eye on the chat, but sometimes I get so caught up in teaching here that I don't read those. But go ahead and put your questions in there if you have them. We'll see if we can get to them. But let's go on to our nail here. So I took a tiny little scoop of that tip and jewel adhesive, and I'm going to just set that right down into the well of the tip. Pull that all the way back towards that cuticle area. Now, I do leave a tiny little bit of space. Whoops, sorry guys. Tiny little bit of space around those edges, because as we put this tip on, that product is going to flow and it's going to kind of squeeze out to the sides. So we want to make sure to leave a little bit of space so that we're not squeezing all of that gel out onto the client's skin. All right, so somebody's asking, can I use crazy glue? Please do not use crazy glue or Gorilla Glue or whatever other glues are out there. You guys, the tips do come with a nail glue. It's a specific nail glue. So make sure that you are using products that are safe for use on nails, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna apply this tip. Now you guys, you can actually see that gel in the back of the well. You can see that product back there. So as we apply our tip, I'm gonna start with this at just a slight downward angle, and then I'm gonna show you this from the side. So a slight downward angle, and then I'm gonna rock it down onto the nail. You're gonna be able to see all of that gel adhering to the nail. If you see any little air pockets under there, you want to back the tip off, take it off again, and reset that. So that way you're not going to have any little air pockets underneath. So I'm going to set this down. And actually, you guys, when you're working with that tip and jewel adhesive, this is such a thick product that you can set that down there, let go of it, and you can actually move that and adjust that so that you know that your nail is nice and straight on there. So I'm going to start with that, putting a little bit of pressure back at that cuticle area. I'm going to slide it back as close to that cuticle area as I can. And then I'm going to rock this down. I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on that cuticle area. I'm going to rock this down until it's adhered all the way to the nail. And again, you guys, you can start to see where that gel is grabbing on. Slide that back just a little bit more. Now this is where I'm going to take my Touch Cure light. I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to freeze this nail into place. Now this is not going to fully cure it into place, but what I'm going to do here is just set that nail, and then we'll go on to our next nail. But this is going to hold that into place while I'm working on the rest of the nails. Okay, so just maybe a quick 10 to 20 seconds or so, just enough to freeze that into place. I'll turn that light off, and then we can go on to our next nail. So same application. We're going to take a little bit of that gel, take a little scoop out, tap that off. We're going to just apply that right into the well of our tip, pressing that down, getting that, again, almost all the way out to the edges, but leaving just a tiny little bit of space for that product to flow. I'm going to scrape off just that little bit more in there. Same thing. I'm going to start at a slight downward angle, slide that back towards my cuticle area, and rock that nail down until that nail connects. Okay, going to bring that all the way back towards my cuticle area. And I don't know, can you guys see this on camera? Can you see that gel connecting underneath there? Let me see if I can turn, there you go. Now I think you can see that. So you can see that gel connecting all the way underneath there. And I've got a little bit of that gel coming out the back end. This is where that brush end is going to be a really good tool to have. So just cleaning that product off that back edge. Okay, same thing. We're going to use our Touch Cure Light. We're going to freeze that into place. Again, maybe 20 seconds or so. Just enough to set it into place. Somebody's saying they haven't had the products last less than 2 weeks. That's awesome. You guys, these, especially if you're using the tip and jewel adhesive, these will actually last you probably as long as a regular enhancement. I've used our full cover tips here. I've glued them on with the glue, and I've actually gotten up to 2 weeks wear out of them. So just kind of depends on what your lifestyle is. And how you apply them, what products you're using to apply them. Some are going to be a more temporary service. Again, if you're using that glue to adhere them, that's going to be maybe, I would say, well, let's start with this. If you're using the sticky tabs here, that's going to be a really temporary service. I would say maybe a weekend, maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days, again, depending on how much you're using the nails. If you're wanting something a little bit longer wear, go with that glue that's in there, and that's going to give you maybe up to a couple of weeks. If you're wanting even longer wear, that's where I would go with the tip and jewel adhesive. That's going to be your longest wear. So just depending on how you are wanting to wear the nails, how long you're going to be wanting to wear them, you have all kinds of different options. But again, today for our wedding nails, we could have just done, the adhesive or the glue. We could have just done the sticky tabs, but I think our bride today wants to wear these onto her honeymoon as well. So that's why we're working with our tip and jewel adhesive. These are going to hold on really well for a good amount of time. Again, we are rocking that tip down on there, making sure that's all the way back towards the cuticle. Again, I got just a tiny little bit of that product oozing out. I'm actually going to grab my orange wood stick here. Make sure that if you do accidentally get any of that product squeezing out the back or the sides, that you do clean that off before you cure. So clean that off right away so that you're not exposing that client to any of that product. Okay, and just one last right there. Okay, same thing. We're going to freeze that into place. Just another 10 to 20 seconds or so. And once we get all of these nails on, then we are going to fully cure these in the full UV LED light. But we're just setting them into place now. We're just freezing those so that we can go on to the next nail. And we don't have to cure each one in the full UV LED light after every nail. So it's going to save you a little bit of time by having that touch cure light and just freezing those into place. Okay, again, scraping that last little bit of gel in there. Whoops. And again, I'm going to move my adhesive out of the way here. Set that down. I can already see there's a little bit of that gel squeezing out the back end, so I'm going to clean that up with my orange wood stick before I continue to anchor that down. So again, rocking that down. Making sure everything is connecting underneath, making sure there's no air pockets underneath. And whoops, a little bit more of that squeezed out. So we'll clean that up really quick there. Slide that back. All right, I think we're about good there. One more time, we're going to freeze this one into place. And then once we have this one set into place, it's not going to move anymore. Then we're going to get this into the light. So the full UV LED light. All right. We've got all of those nails set into place. We're going to get that into our full UV LED light. And then, you guys, we're not done yet. don't go anywhere. We're not done yet. We've got some more art here to do today. So I'm going to close up my tip and jewel adhesive. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button while our nail is curing. And I'm going to grab a couple other things here for our little bit of art. Now, when you're doing bridal nails, you guys, most of the time your clients aren't going to, well, I guess I don't know. Sometimes they're going to do some crazy art, sometimes they're not. But for today, I'm going to do just a quick and easy stamped design. So just adding a little bit of extra fun to this nail in case you have that bride that does want just a little bit of art on her nail. So I've got my stamping plate, and this is the one that's got a little bit more of the floral patterns. Now you guys, you can do all kinds of different designs. You can do whatever works for you, but we're going to do a little bit of a floral kind of a design today. And I'm going to be using one of our new polishes. This is just an air dry polish. It is a very fast drying polish though, so you do have to work very quickly with this. This is our white, and this one is called Nerdvana. So Nerdvana is a really fun one. Now, if you have those brides that maybe they want their little something blue, we've got some other really pretty soft blue colors here. We've got Hope GPS, and we've also got Me Unicorn. So these are going to be two really pretty really pretty colors. If maybe if your bride does need that little bit of something blue, you can just add that really quickly. And just a really fun little design. All right, you guys, so that is the start of our nails here. Now I am seeing, let me come in a little closer here. Whoa, that was close. Okay, I am seeing a couple of little edges here where I've got that just a little catch. So I'm gonna take my 180 file buffer, and actually, you know what, you guys, this time I'm gonna grab my 240. The 180 would probably be just fine, but I like to make sure that my edges are nice and smooth and nice and soft so that there's nothing going to catch. So I'm going to use that 240. And this is also in case you need to, maybe you need to shape anything up, or, after you did a little bit of that customizing, if you need to shape anything, you can shape that up, clean up those edges if there's anything catching. And then again, you can flip over to that buffer side, and you can use that buffer to make sure that all of your edges are nice and soft. But again, make sure that you're filing underneath. You're not filing where that color is. You don't want to be filing off that color. That color is actually on the surface of our tip. So make sure that you're not filing that off. You guys, I don't know, there's a little something on here. I'm not sure what I got on that nail, but that'll be okay. Let's see here real quickly. I'm going to grab just a little bit of my ManiQ Cleanser. I just want to see if that will clean off. I'm not sure what I got on there, but that's okay. We're going to stamp over it anyways, I think. All right, so again, just catching my edges here, making sure that there's no rough edges, just filing underneath. Again, hit that with the buffer if you need to. Smooth out those edges. And you guys, look at that tiny little nail. Look at how cute that is. Aren't you in love with this? You guys, let me know. Throw some little hearts in the chat if you think this little nail is just the cutest thing you've ever seen, because I do. I think it's absolutely adorable. But again, with those brides, a lot of times they want beautiful nails, but they don't want anything too wild and crazy. They still want to be able to use their hands and not have really long nails. Especially with a lot of times, the wedding dress has a lot of buttons or snaps or ties and things like that. So you want to make sure that your bride is still going to be able to function during her day. All right, so we're going to do just a really quick and easy stamped on design. Now you could do a design on all of these nails. You could have one nail as an accent nail. I think we're going to start with one nail here as an accent, and then you guys let me know. If you want to see the rest of the nails done, we can do that as well. But you just let me know. So I'm going to grab a couple other odds and ends here. This is our stamping tool cleaner, and I'm just going to peel off the top layer here so that we've got a nice clean. All right, you guys, I should not be using my nails as tools here. I'm going to grab my nipper. So I'm going to peel that top layer off so we've got a nice place to clean off our stamping tool. And you guys, I've got two stamping tools today. So they're both the same tool, but I want you to notice something. On one of them, this one has a nice smooth shiny surface. On this one, I've actually used a little bit of our ManiQ Cleanser to clean that surface off. Now, the ManiQ Cleanser will bring it to that dull look, and I actually sometimes like to use that dull one, and sometimes I like to use the shiny one. It just kind of depends on how my product is setting up that day. So if you do have two of them, I would say take one and use a little bit of the ManiQ Cleanser. Let me show you that again. Use a little bit of that and pump that on there, cleanse that, and that's going to bring that to that little bit of a dull surface, but also keep one that has that shiny surface, because sometimes some colors just work better with the shiny, some work better with the dull. But if you only have the shiny, don't create that dull surface, just work with the shiny one, okay? But just a little trick, if you have two of them, do one as a dull one, one as a shiny one. Now, how do we keep these clean without using that ManiQ Cleanser? That's where this little tool comes in. You can just use that. It's a little bit of a little sticky tape on there, so you can use that to clean off your stamper. Now, let's talk about stamping here, you guys. I know we've done many, many videos on stamping, so if you need more information on that, we'd have a couple of, actually have more than a couple of videos on there on our YouTube channel here, so check those out as well. But I'm going to go through, I'm going to use our On to the Next polish remover. I'm going to take a little bit of that onto a lint-free wipe, and I'm going to make sure that my stamping plate is nice and clean. So that's the first step to getting a really good stamp on your nail, making sure that that plate is nice and clean and that there's no residual polish in there from the last time you used it. If you don't clean these out really well, there can be just a little bit of polish left in there, and that can actually make your design not pick up on your stamping tool. So a couple of little tricks there. Let's see. Let me grab my stamping tools. So when you are stamping, you guys, make sure that you work quickly. A lot of times I see people and they work way too slow. And somebody's asking, what difference does the dull and shiny make? You guys, I'm going to show you that here in just a second. But when you're working with stamping, it is a fast process. So I'm going to show you how you actually have to work. So I have everything set up here ready to go. I've got my stampers here. I've got my polish open and ready to go. I've got my scraping card, and I've got everything ready. So you have to work very quickly. So you're going to take your polish, you're going to brush that on, you're going to swipe, wipe, pick up with your stamp, and you're ready to go, okay? If you wait too long, let me show you what happens. Let me just clean this off real quick here. And again, use that little cleaner tool here, and my stamper is nice and clean. So what happens is, if you work too slow, I'm going to come in a little closer here. So let's pick another design. So if I work too slow, or if I scrape off too much of that polish, if I just scrape and scrape and scrape, and then maybe I'm trying to find my stamping tool, and well, okay, here it is, and let me go ahead and pick that up, and then I'm trying to look through here. Okay, I picked that up, nothing picked up. Okay, you guys, that's why you have to work really fast, because if you work too slow, or if you scrape too much of that polish off, it's already dry in the plate, so you're not going to be able to pick that up. Now, I know people, I've seen some comments where people say, well, you have to roll the stamper over it. You guys, with ours, you don't. You don't have to do that rolling technique. You can just press down gently and pick up that stamp. So you just have to work quickly, though. That is the trick when you're working with our polishes. They are so fast drying that if you wait, and you wait too long, it's not going to pick up. So one more time, let me go through. I'm going to cleanse off our plate here. And I think on our nails that we're going to do, all right, you guys, I need your input. You got to let me know in here. Do we want these? Let's see. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 options. We're going to do one option. So if you guys are going to vote in the chat here, so let me know. You're going to vote for number 1, number 2 with a little bit of flowers, or number 3, just those swirl patterns. Okay, let me know in the chat. So 1, 2, or 3? Let me know. Okay, so in the meantime, again, I'm going to make sure that I've got my stamping tool here. And actually, you guys, let me show you one other quick thing here. The reason that I like having the shiny one and also the dull one here. Okay, you guys, I'm seeing 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of 2s, I think. I think it's between 2 and 3. All right, we'll go with 2. So we're going to go with the little flowers here. All right, I think we're going to go with that. So thank you guys for your input there. But let me show you sometimes what can happen with the shiny one versus the matte one. Let's go ahead and, all right, I'll pick up the one that you guys are wanting to see. So if we put our polish on here, we scrape, wipe. Sometimes when I use that shiny one, let's see if you can see, sometimes the polish tends to puddle just a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. It's not going to really affect the design, but sometimes it's going to be easier to use that matte finish one. So let me show you this one here. So again, we'll put our polish on there. We're going to scrape. We're going to pick up. So you can see that, here we go, that the matte one is a little bit more of a crisp design. So it'll still pick up on the shiny one, but sometimes certain designs will pick up a little bit better on that matte finish. So like I said, if all you have is the shiny, keep it shiny. Don't wipe off that shiny finish. But if you do have 2 of the stampers, I would say keep one shiny and then keep one with the matte. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. Okay. Yes, you guys, I think people are asking, is the matte stamper sold? No, Shiny Starfire, these are just our regular stampers, but on this one, I just used a little bit of our ManiQ Cleanser to clean off that surface. So a little bit of that on there, and that just by wiping that with the ManiQ Cleanser, it gives it more of that dull finish to it, okay? So you can use, like I said, you can use the shiny finish or the matte. Sometimes certain designs are going to work better with the matte. So try them out, see what works best for you, and go with that. All right, so we've got our nails ready to go. You guys are wanting to see those little flowers on there. Let me clean off my plate one more time. And okay, you guys, I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to do this twice here. So I'm going to show you how to actually stamp this. But I'm also going to show you what to do if you make a little mistake. Maybe as you got your design on there, maybe something shifted, maybe it didn't go on there just perfectly. I'm going to show you really quickly how to fix that. But I'm going to explain this now because you have to work quickly. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck. So let me explain that. So the tips that we've got on here, these are pre-designed. If we were to use polish remover or acetone or anything over the surface of it, this could take off our design that's already on there. So if we mess up or if we smudge up or something and our design doesn't go on right, if you don't do this trick really quickly afterwards, you're going to be stuck with the design that doesn't look perfect. So here's, like I said, everything is going to have to go quickly here, so pay attention. And you guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can rewatch our videos if you need to. We always post our videos, our live streams back up here on our channel if you missed something. So watch quick, watch close, don't miss out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our polish down. Again, I have my polish ready to go. I have my stamper ready to go. I've got my scraping card, so we're going to, whoops. I'm going to scrape, I'm going to wipe that off, I'm going to use my stamper, I'm going to pick that design up, and we're going to go right onto our nail, right on there. Now, here's where you got to work quick, not quack. If you don't like how that design looks, polish on quickly a coat of the top coat, just quickly all the way through, and then you can use one of the lint-free wipes and wipe that off and cleanse that off. It's almost like it's a cleanser, but again, you guys, you have to work fast. If you give that any time to dry on the nail, that top coat is going to basically seal that on. So that's just a quick way of touching up the nail or fixing a nail that you didn't like and it wasn't perfect. So just, it has to go fast though, you guys, has to go fast. Now, I do have a couple of little bits of that white polish around there. I'm going to use our polish corrector brush. You guys, let me come back out here. So this is another one of our beautiful new tools here. I'm going to use this. I'm going to take a little bit of our polish remover, pump a little bit of that onto my brush. And this I can use to clean up around those edges. Just cleaning up those little tiny bits that may still be on the nail. But again, be careful that you're not using too much of that polish remover on the white, because it will remove that white, okay? Now, let's go ahead and actually do our design, and we'll finish up the nail. Clean off my stamping tool. We'll clean off our plate here. We'll get that ready to go one more time. All right. So you guys, does that make sense that you can, once the polish is dry, that stamp is dry on there, it's going to be set on there. But if you go through with one quick coat of that top coat, brush on that top coat, and then wipe that off really quickly with a dry lint-free wipe, that will remove that design that maybe it wasn't quite perfect. Okay, but let's go ahead and make a perfect design. Let's finish up this nail. So again, we're going to apply our polish. We're going to scrape, wipe. We're going to pick up our stamp. We're going to set that right down onto the nail. And we've got our design. Now, you guys are looking at this thinking, well, that's a lot of polish that's off the edges and around the edges. That's again where I'm going to use my amazing little cleanup brush here. I'm going to take a little bit of that polish remover. I'm going to pump that up into the top cup here, hopefully not spraying that everywhere. And then I can use that polish corrector brush right around the edges, cleaning all of that up. Take a little bit more polish remover around those edges and clean that up. So just a really quick and easy way of doing a beautiful design on your brides this year. You guys, it is wedding season now, and if you don't know somebody that's getting married or your clients aren't getting married, I don't know, you got to meet some more people. No. But it is this time of year where lots of weddings happening, and you want to be able to do some fun nails for your brides, but things that are going to be easy for the brides, easy for you, or if you are the bride, you've got some beautiful nails and some beautiful options here. So at this point, we've got that pretty design on there. So you could, again, use that as just an accent nail. You could go ahead and stamp all of the rest of them. And at this point, we are going to top coat. So first of all, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, join our community, and then we'll start our top coat chant in the chat. Now, normally when we're doing enhancements, you guys will see me do a gel top coat and cure that. On this nail today, we're just going to finish with our air dry top coat. And this is going to be a nice, quick, easy finish. On the rest of these nails, on the nails that we did not do a stamp on, these we don't have to top coat. Those already have that nice shiny finish on them. If you want to do a top coat on them, you can. I would say take a little bit of that ManiQ Cleanser, pump a little bit of that, pump a little bit of that onto your lint-free wipe, and just gently cleanse that just to make sure there's no dust on there. And that way you can go ahead and top coat. But if you are stamping stamping on a design, I definitely would apply a coat of top coat over that. So I'll go ahead and top coat all of them here for you guys, just so you can see. And again, give you guys a chance to start that top coat chant in the chat. If you're not sure what that top coat chant is, it's just typing in top coat, top coat, top coat. And it's just our fun way of finishing our nails and our live stream. So make sure to hit that subscribe button before you hit that top coat, and join our community. Get all the free education. Continue to keep learning with us here. So again, just a quick little layer of our top coat, And we've got those beautiful nails. Now, this top coat is an air dry top coat. A lot of times you guys see me do those gel top coats. I pop them into the light to cure them. This one is going to dry on its own in the air. I would say give it probably, I would say maybe 2 minutes or so is what it's going to take for your top coat to dry, especially if you're just doing one coat of just the top coat. Now, if you're doing any other layers of polish underneath, it's going to take just a little bit longer. But just for that top coat, I would say probably about 2 minutes. So we've got our final look for our beautiful wedding nails here today. We've got a little white on white stamping on there. And hopefully you guys, if you haven't already, you check out all of our different fun press-on nails. You guys, we've got so many different designs here. Some of those other bright pink ones, kind of an ombre look that I was showing you earlier. Otherwise, if you are doing more bridal work and you're not loving the French manicure, we also have some ombre looks for you here. We've got those rounded looks. We've got the squared off, kind of a tapered square look. So all kinds of fun options for wedding season this year. So you guys, thank you again so much for joining us today. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Type that top coat chant in the chat and make sure to join us next time. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.